Hello and welcome back to another forward cameras tutorial. Thank you for watching our video. We're going to be talking about the Minolta SRT 101, which is a very popular 35mm SLR from the 60s through the 70s. They made a lot of these. There's a reason. Number one, they're well made. Number two, they're very easy to use. And so we're going to talk about how this works. It's a very simple camera. It's a manual camera. It doesn't use a lot of electricity. Basically, it's fully mechanical, so even if your battery does die, you could still use the camera without the light meter. And it uses, just in case you're confused about what it uses a PX625 battery, and it looks kind of odd. It looks like a button. And these are easy to get online. So to talk about this camera and how we use it, well, number one, Minolta lenses are generally pretty affordable, and so there are a lot of these out there on the market that you can get, making the camera a good choice. What I would like to tell you is teach you how to use the camera. So first, you rotate the camera, and we use 35mm black and white or color film. We open the camera by popping up this tab here, and the back opens. We put our 35mm film canister in here and then move the film around the back flush over here, and then put the edge of the film into this little area here. It's hard to see, but it's this gray area. And there's a little area for the edge of the film. And then you wind the film. Right. So it's taut. We close the camera and locks, and then you pop this down until it goes down. That's the rewind knob. So now what you need to do to start taking photos, well, number one, you need a battery, which gets placed in here. You can open this up with a pen or your finger. So most times I use a pen to pop it open and rotate. And then you turn on the meter. This is on, this is battery check, this is off. You want to keep it off most of the time so it doesn't drain the battery, but we put it on for the meter. So we rotate that with our thumb. And then we're gonna wind this and we click it until we see that our frame becomes 1. And now is at 1, and that tells you photo number 1 all the way to 24, 36, depending upon what film we put in. So how do we use this camera? Well, first we're gonna select our ASA, which is ISO. That's the film speed, which is on your 35mm film, it will tell you. So the lower numbers are for like really bright outdoor settings, and the higher numbers, like 3200, would be indoors or darker places. So you lift up the wheel and you rotate. It's a little hard to see, but this actually, you can see over here that it's moving. So right now, I'm gonna put it at my go-to 400 for my black and white film, usually like 400 for Tri-X. So that's that. You need to rotate that properly for the exposure to be good in your light meter. And then you select your shutter speed by moving this, right? So like right now I'm at 1/1000th of a second, see? The little red arrow aligns with 1/1000th, and when I wind the film with the winder and I press the shutter, you hear it's fast. But when I want like slower speed, so like 1 second on the tripod, where it's really dark, you can hear the shutter is exactly 1 second. You could adjust it to bold mode for streaks on your photos. So like, for instance, long exposures on a tripod, you put at B, and you could hold the shutter down for however long you want, and then release or put a cable release in here. And the aperture's on the ring. You can see that over here. That's how big the iris is inside the camera. So if you want different depths of field, so like let's just say you want a really blurry background and a sharp subject, maybe 3.5 or a 5 would be better. But if you want everything in focus, you would do 16, but it depends on how much light is. So that's a discussion for another video, but it's interesting. and a few other things to use this camera. So how do we pop the lens off? Well, there's a little teeny tab here that we press down, see? And you hear it click, and you could rotate the camera lens and it pops off. And you could get a lot of Minolta MD lenses for this camera. It's very good. It's not autofocus. This camera is a fully manual camera. And it's also very, very little electronics, to be honest. It's just mainly the light meter. So you can see the mirrors inside. You could mount a flash on the top, but notice that the hot shoe doesn't have any sort of like electronic area over here. You would have to get an old flash and plug it directly into the camera on the side with a wire. And what else? So you could rotate this over here. So let's just say you're doing long exposures and you don't want the mirror to get in the way of your exposure over a very, very long period of time. You could rotate the mirror upwards, as you can see, with this tab by rotating it, and you can get it back down. And then, let me put my lens back on. Last but not least, a couple more things with this camera. It's really cool. So you could stop the lens down over here for depth of field, so it actually pushes the aperture down to whatever aperture is there. And what if you want to take a photo with a bunch of friends and you put this on a tripod? You want a timer, so you would push the timer down, you cock the shutter, and then you press the shutter. Oh, in this case, actually, you would have to press this button here. Needs a little bit of whaling on this particular camera. Because it needs to be. You can hear it. You need a little bit of cleaning and oiling in this area for the shutter to go, but it works now. And overall, that's pretty much it. The only thing is the light meter is very, very easy to use. It's a little teeny kind of like level that goes up and down, and depending upon how, if you're overexposed or underexposed, like the light meter will be up or completely down, but you want it to be centered. And as you rotate your shutter speed, you'll notice that there's a little arrow that moves slightly lower or higher. You want to align that. One more thing, to use the inside light meter, you want to have your little hole arrow, as you can see here, aligned with the light meter itself. And that's either by moving your f-stop, such as aperture, or the shutter speed, and that will move this according to wherever this line is, and that's how you get the correct exposure. So that's how we use the Minolta SRT 101. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also check out our Instagram at Forward Cameras, our Twitter at Forward Cameras, our Facebook Forward Cameras, and also our Etsy shop, our online shop for buying cameras such as this one, which is on our shop at the current moment. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.